gorgeous. Welcome to Season 4 of the Hormone Puzzle Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Kayla Smith, Doctor of Natural Medicine, CEO of the Hormone Puzzle Society, which is a women's health hub for fertility, hormones, and pregnancy. I'm a doctor of natural and integrative medicine. I'm a functional nutritionist, creator of the Hormone Puzzle Method, an infertility warrior, two-time boy mom, and women's health expert. This podcast is for anyone struggling with infertility, painful periods, terrible PMS, or really any symptom of hormone imbalance that you are ready to eliminate for good. Tune in weekly as I interview amazing experts in the field of women's health, breaking down those hormone walls, nerding out on nutrition, and having way too much fun. Whether you're just beginning your journey or you've been struggling for years, we're going to finally help you put the pieces of your hormone puzzle back together so that you can get pregnant and eliminate those pesky symptoms for good. Not to mention, stay pregnant, have a healthy super baby, an easy postpartum, as well as eliminate all your hormone-related symptoms for good. Are you ready? This season is packed with even more expert guests sharing groundbreaking knowledge, giving you that jolt of energy that you so desperately need, sending you lots of virtual hugs, and inspiring you to take your fertility into your own hands and make that baby, and to live the best, most optimized life ever, mind, body, and spirit. Thank you all so much for tuning in and being amazing listeners. Now, let's get started on your road to transformation. On today's show, we have Beth Miller, who is the founder of Soulify Wellness, a marriage coach, a teacher of psychology, a certified hypnotherapist, and Reiki energy practitioner. She has appeared in major media publications such as MacClean's magazine, CTV, the London Free Press, and has been a guest on dozens of podcasts and blogs. Beth has coached many women who are on the verge of divorce and helped them transform their lives and marriages into relationships filled with mutual love, connection, and support. Her method is deeply rooted in psychology and neuroscience. One of her secret weapons is Hypno-Journeying, a deep meditation that has been referred to as a meditation on steroids that helps women to release and reprogram limiting beliefs that have been keeping them stuck in their relationship struggles. Her methods were inspired by her own healing journey after experiencing a brain bleed that left her unable to walk, write, and with crippling anxiety and depression. She now views this life-changing experience as a gift. Her life was flipped upside down, but she now sees it right side up. Today, we are talking all about transforming your relationship while you're on the TTC journey. Now, let's welcome Beth to the podcast. Hey, Beth, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me, Dr. Kayla.
Yeah, I'm super excited to talk to you today. So let's dive into that. Tell us a little bit more about you and how you started working in women's health and as a marriage coach and with energy medicine.
Oh, such a great question. I feel like sometimes I stumbled across it by accident, but actually I think it was divine intervention. Right. I had a crazy medical thing happen to me. I had a brain bleed, like a hemorrhagic stroke. I had three young little men, like ages 4, 6, and 8, and I was hospitalized for a whole month. Like, this is crazy. And how do you link this to becoming a marriage coach? Well, while I was in hospital, I lost my ability to walk. I lost my ability to write, and I had a rehab. And being in the hospital for a month, I felt like I lost myself. I wasn't a mom. I wasn't able to coach. I wasn't able to do the things I normally do. I was a half marathon runner. And so I felt like my whole life was just stripped of me. And I went into some crazy depression, anxiety. And as I worked through that, I stumbled across different modalities. And what happened was I realized within a year or so, my marriage started to transform. I was doing inner work to work on the anxiety, the depression, but I was actually tackling a lot of really heavy stuff, like not feeling good enough, not feeling lovable, being a people pleaser, being an empath. And by working on a lot of those things, I started to become more confident and started to hold better boundaries, and my marriage transformed. And I didn't realize it at first. And then I started to realize that about 3/4 of my coaching clients also were really struggling with their marriages too. And it's incredible how when you start to do some of this inner work, how all the relationships in your life start to transform, whether it's your marriage or other relationships. But so many women, marriages are really painful for them. And that's how I really stumbled across this, was my own kind of health journey, and seeing my marriage transform then helped me then start to help coaching clients that were really struggling with their marriage.
Wow, that's amazing. And I find so many of us, that's our story. You know, we get into this work because of our own personal stories. And I love that. That's so amazing. And what better topic than to talk about how to transform your marriage while you're on a fertility journey, as many of our listeners are. And I find that, you know, the relationship, this isn't talked about enough, and it really does take a toll on the relationship. So let's talk about that a little bit. Well, first, why do you think when you're on a TTC journey that your marriage can be compromised? Like, why do you think that's an issue?
Oh, there's multiple reasons, but definitely when you're on that journey, infidelity does have a huge strain on your relationship, on your marriage. And it's for so many reasons. Like, there's a loneliness factor to it, sometimes feeling like the social isolation, not being able to talk to friends or family about what you're going through. There's financial strain, the stress of all appointments. There's like sometimes guilt that comes in there from each partner, and they don't want to talk about it, whether they're blaming each other. Like, there's just so many emotions that are coming in, and we're not taught how to deal with this stuff. Like, nobody goes into this journey thinking that it's going to be this difficult sometimes to conceive. And it's so many emotions that are coming up. And depending on the partner, they may not be able to talk about their emotions because they don't actually understand them. They just might feel mad, and mad is the lens in which they see everything. Anger, or maybe it's just deep sadness. And so that's one of the reasons. There's just a lot of feelings coming up. And if you don't know how to process them, don't know how to support each other in those difficult times, marriage troubles are going to come up. And there's a statistic. There was a Danish study done with about almost 50,000 women who were in this situation on that journey. And they found that I think they were 3 times more likely to end up in divorce than couples that weren't on the fertility journey. So that just proves that there is a huge strain on marriages. So important that you take extra care during that fertility journey to really work on your marriage.
For sure. For sure. And I feel like doing that work will also help you as you get pregnant, you become a parent, you become, you know, go through life with this partner. Like, it's good to have that foundation built. So what better time than to start on the fertility journey?
Absolutely. Like you said, there's sometimes like a health crisis or like something that happens in our life that is the catalyst for our development. And in that moment, it totally sucks. It's horrible. You can't see the other side of it, but often there are gifts buried in it.
For sure. For sure. And you talk a lot about triggers and really recognizing these triggers, and sometimes that can be the foundation for saving our marriage. So how do we recognize the triggers? And can you talk to me a little bit more about those?
So triggers, these are often unwanted emotions that are coming up. So triggers can be something that someone says to you, something that someone does to you. It can be your own thoughts can trigger you. Mm-hmm. So it's so important to notice that often there's like, an event that happens, little or big. I call them micro triggers, like just somebody saying one little word or a tone that someone uses, or a big trigger, such as a huge event that trigger an emotion within you. And if you don't like that emotion, it's most likely a trigger. So if you're feeling angry, sad, mad, embarrassed, shame, jealousy, embarrassment, like if you're feeling any of those heavier emotions, you're probably being triggered. And that's your body's way of screaming, hey, listen to me. I'm not happy. Something's not okay. Please don't sweep me under the rug. Please don't ignore me. Like, I'm trying to get your attention. And so that's what a trigger is. It's something that comes up, and instead of pushing it under the rug or just continuing to be mad or blaming someone else for that feeling, because our emotions are ours. And it's sometimes hard to understand that, but every emotion within us, we create, we decide to have that emotion. We can decide how we want to process it, how long we want to keep it. We can decide whether we want to interpret it or not. So that's how we really start to identify triggers, is just starting to recognize every emotion that comes up.
And so what do we do once we start to recognize these emotions? Like, is there a way to kind of course correct where they don't affect us as intensely as they once did?
Absolutely. So I joke around a little bit about this, but it's actually the truth. Like you celebrate a little bit, like I'm triggered. Yes. And you're not actually going to do that. But like I said, it's your body's way of saying, listen to me. And so celebrate, like I'm hearing you, body. I understand you. I know I'm in pain right now. I know I'm not happy and I want to solve this. I want to address it. And so first step is really just acknowledging the trigger. And so, yeah, like what can you do once you trigger, like once you identify the trigger is step one is to acknowledge it, like I said, but then step two is to start to process it. And there's so many different skills that we can use to process it. And whether you want to actually understand it. So sometimes we want to dive deep into it. So if you're feeling, I'm trying to think of an example that would be related to you, but if you're just feeling really lonely in the process, like you find out that, you know what, this wasn't a successful month and you're just feeling so lonely in that moment. You're like, I don't know what to do anymore. I just feel so alone. It's recognizing, what is that loneliness from? Is it like maybe like in my family relationships, I don't feel like I have the support. I can't talk to someone. I don't feel like my parents understand me. I don't feel heard. I don't feel seen by my partner. What is it trying to tell me? So we almost want to put a belief to it. Like, what is the belief? No one understands me. I'm not in control. Sometimes that's the one that comes up. I'm not in control of anything in my life. So we want to figure out what the negative belief is associated with that trigger. And then once we know that negative belief that like, I'm not good enough, I'm not safe, I'm not in control, then we want to figure out, when have you felt that before in your life? Because often when we start to feel an example of like, I'm not in control, I'm not good enough, it's happened many times before in our life, whether that's childhood, whether it's teenage years. And so we then want to start to explore other times in our past. I often say that a lot of times when struggles come up within our marriage, those are like kind of the surface. There's so many more roots that take us right down deep, like peeling back those layers. There's a center to that onion. And that's where that source is of, I'm not good enough, I'm not in control, I'm not safe, I'm not lovable, all those things.
And that takes me to my next question. You know, you talk a lot about our inner child, and I can only imagine, and you can confirm this, but some of the triggers might have started when we were very little and, you know, have kind of started to form some of these beliefs around that. So can you talk to me a little more about that? What is our inner child? And am I kind of thinking about this in the right way?
Yeah, we all have an inner child, and it can be that playful aspect of us that just wants to get down on the floor and play with children. But it can also be our inner child wounds, which are really heavy emotions that we've stored from our past or beliefs about ourselves. And these can be seen as like traumas, mini or major, but it's often when our needs haven't been met as a child. So then we start to form beliefs about ourselves, about the world. And if it's about ourselves, I call that limiting beliefs, like when we start to limit ourselves, being like, I'm ugly, I'm not pretty. Sometimes we have those beliefs that start to come up, or I've done something wrong. I always do things wrong. So those would be limiting beliefs that we start to carry. But then sometimes it can be societal beliefs. And those societal beliefs are things that often like our parents have taught us about society. And that could even be like, it's not safe to go outside at night. Like we have all these beliefs that kind of are formed, especially in those like early developmental years under age 8, when our subconscious mind is like a sponge and it's just absorbing everything around us as our reality. Like someone could say a joke, but often in those younger years, our mind isn't capable of interpreting that as a joke. It interprets it as reality. So sarcasm, kids don't understand sarcasm at a really young age. It's truth to them. And so our inner child then starts to store these emotions. And then what happens is like our marriage is like a magnifying glass right down into the core of our inner child wounds. And a lot of those feelings, like I kind of just said, like I feel shame, I feel embarrassment, I don't speak up for myself. Like those things start to show up in our marriage. And that's what starts to lead to marriage troubles. We realize how unauthentic we are, how we've been living our life in a path that doesn't make us feel right. And that shows up in arguments, communication issues within our marriage.
Interesting. Very interesting. And I know we're talking about how these, you know, old thoughts and beliefs can affect our marriage and while we're going on the TTC journey, but I want to switch gears a little bit because this is something I talk about a lot on how the subconscious mind can really affect some of these root causes. And a lot of times what happens with that is our subconscious mind goes down into our physiology. So some of these old thoughts, beliefs, and pattern loops, you know, the limiting beliefs are causing some of our physical symptoms to manifest. So can you talk a little bit more about that? How does these subconscious beliefs really impact this fertility journey and our relationships?
Oh yeah, this is like a huge question and so difficult for us to understand because we understand the physical, like I see my body, I understand like my cycles, I understand the hormones that are happening within my body. Like we see that physical stuff and it makes sense. Like if we just do this X, Y, Z, then I should be able to get the outcome I want. But instead, there's this whole energetic realm that we don't really even fully understand. And emotions, I like to describe emotions as energy in motion. And when we've held onto emotions for so long, whether it's anger, sadness, embarrassment, shame, those stay within us and they can start to manifest because they don't have anywhere to go. They're in there. And often we can sense these feelings, whether it's like a pit in your stomach, a really heavy, heavy feeling, like someone sitting on your chest. Sometimes you feel it in your throat. Like there's different areas within your body that you can really hold these emotions and they start to manifest in physical symptoms. So those are just usually ones that people really start to recognize as the heaviness on the chest or the pit in the stomach, that sinking feeling you have in your stomach. So I think just first off, like just being aware that they're there is really step one, and realizing again, I don't want to feel this way. And then getting really curious, like I have women often, they'll just close their eyes, like just as a quick little exercise, like close your eyes. Where do you feel this in your body? Where do you feel that stress? Where do you feel that shame? Where do you feel that fear? Fear is often something that we hold in our body, and they'll direct it right to their stomach. And I'm like, what does it look like in there? And they can actually sense, like, you know what, it's like a rock, or it's like this black fog. And I asked, do you want to keep it there anymore? Because we don't always need to know what it is. Do you want to keep it there? They're like, no. And like, how are we going to release it? And sometimes they'll just bring in like a couple of things. Sometimes they'll just see the wind come in, or they'll hear the words like, you are good enough. You're going to be okay. And it's like their higher authentic self, this like great inner parent comes in and like gives them a pep talk, gives them a hug and be like, it's going to be okay. And sometimes when you do that kind of exercise, it brings you back to the present and you feel empowered because you're like, you know what? I actually am in control. I actually do. I do trust this process. Like you trust that everything's going to happen for my highest good. It just brings you back to now into the center so that you can kind of release some of those emotions in the moment.
I love that. I love that. And it's so powerful. And you're right. Some of us, we're taught to focus on the physical, but we forget that we're emotional, we're energy. I love that, energy and motions. That's amazing. And so how does this really, once we start to do this, and you said something that kind of triggered another question I wanted to talk about, but you talk a lot about being our authentic selves and how this can help us to fix our relationship. This is kind of the core of things. So, and you mentioned that earlier. So talk to me a little bit more about this. How does connecting with this authentic self, how can that help us in our relationship, especially while we're trying to conceive?
Yeah, I think the word authenticity kind of gets thrown around, and sometimes people will say, yeah, I'm my authentic self, but I really want you to sit with that word. Are you who you are? And if you're feeling really exhausted, confused, lost, you're probably not fully in your authentic self. And being your authentic self is fully in your worth, where you are communicating, you do feel seen, you do feel loved, you do feel heard. And often you have to feel that yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to hear yourself. You have to know you're worthy of being seen and you're worthy of everything you desire. So in order to be your authentic self, it really is an inside job. It has to start with like self-love and worth. And sometimes women I meet have never, ever been their authentic selves. Sometimes women can trace it back to, you know what, when I was 5, like I could look back when I was 5 years old, I can see myself playing and free and light and just feeling like I can do anything in this world. And then things started to happen, whether it was a parent's divorce or whether there was something that happened in their family and it really derailed them. They started to develop those limiting beliefs or the fear in life. So some women have never felt it and some have felt it, and we want to get you connected to it. So often as we move through life, sometimes we start living for other people, or we think we're doing what we should be doing instead of doing what we really want. An example of that is maybe you want to go off to like do dance or acting, and your parents are like, no, I want you to go into finances and I want you to be, I don't know, a banker or a lawyer. And sometimes we start to take these paths that other people want and we stop ignoring our intuition. And so one thing too, women, I often say about the authentic self, if you're not sure if you are her, then go back to a time when you felt that like lightness, where you felt confident, you felt invincible. And that's one way of starting to find her. And the more you can be her, the more you become her. But this first step really is just identifying, am I my authentic self? And if I'm close, what do I need to do to get there more? What kind of self-love do I need to give myself? How do I get, and often it's those limiting beliefs I talked about, the like, I can't trust, I don't deserve, I'm ugly. Like those are the beliefs that keep us from being our authentic self. So we have to clear those out. We have to take off that social mask that we may be wearing, that we are okay, we're happy, we're moving through each day with a big smile on our face, but inside you're like crying and screaming.
I love it. I love it. Such powerful information. So we do have to take a short break. We're going to hear a word from our sponsors, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk more practical tips on how we can start to transform our relationships and reconnect to our partners. So we'll be right back. Hey friends, it's Coach Kayla here. Hope you're loving this episode as much as I am. We'll be back in just a minute, but first, a word from our sponsors. Did you know we have a handcrafted medicinal herbal tea with a blend of 5 super herbs for fertility, hormone balance, and overall health? Herbs such as red raspberry leaf, nettles, chamomile, green tea, white peony, and rooibos vanilla. It's delicious, nutritious, and a great way to start or end your day. Grab a 30-day supply today at coachkayla.com/fertility-tea and get access to our most popular summit, the Solving Infertility Summit, for free, which is a $97 value. Hey, Beth, welcome back. So let's hop into the next question. And I would love to talk about practical tips. You know, the second half of the show is for people to take these tips and start to implement them today. So what would you say your top 5 tips for starting to transform our relationship would be?
I think we talked about it a little bit earlier, is really starting to recognize those triggers. But if I were to take it just another step, is really maybe stopping the blame game. Maybe stop saying like, you're causing me to feel this way. This is all your fault. So just stopping the blame game, realizing you can't fix other people, that, you know what, you need to take control back. And so I think coming to a realization that I have to take control of my happiness. And so that's the big pivotal step, is understanding that I'm in control. Mm-hmm. And once you're in control, realizing I can't fix them, then I'd say the next step is the inner work. And then the inner work is where, oh my goodness, it's such a phenomenal journey. There's a lot of tears, but there's so much happiness that comes through it, and manifestations start to come through. So first step, take control back. You can't fix other people. Step 2, take control of your life by doing that inner work, which is recognizing those triggers like we talked about, understanding the beliefs that you're holding on that are limiting, like I'm not good enough. And then step 3 is really starting to see your partner through a new lens. So it's like when you start doing that inner work, it's like you have this backpack of really heavy, probably traumas or events that have happened to you in your life, whether it's bullying, whether it's death in the family, whether it's just not being able to speak up for yourself and all the times you felt small. It's like taking that backpack off and freeing yourself of it, knowing that I am better than this. I am an amazing person. I love myself fully. I don't really care what other people think, because I know I am a good person, and I communicate my needs so lovingly, and I have loving, kind boundaries. And so when you can take that backpack off, all of a sudden all the cloudiness is gone and you have the clarity. You can see your partner from a different lens. Like, just say I went grocery shopping at Costco. I spent $500. He's mad. I should have spent $400. I can see how angry he is that I spent more than our budget. But I can see that from a lens of, that's his inner child. That's his scarcity mindset. He's not actually mad at me. Like, because I might be taking it personally, being like, you know what? He doesn't appreciate me because I did all this work to go grocery shopping. But it's not about that he doesn't appreciate me. This is his own wounds, his scarcity mindset coming up. And so when you can get rid of all those limiting beliefs, when you've done the inner work, then that step 3 is you really can see them in a new lens, and you're not triggered by your partner. And when you're not triggered by your partner, you can then, kind of step 4, really communicate better with them. And when you're able to communicate better, you use statements like, I understand. And then you pause. They talk. I understand. And there's such power in that pause. And you don't feel like you have to defend yourself or criticize them. It's just, I understand. How can I help? Do you need something from me? Like, you start opening up this beautiful communication with them where you're holding space for them instead of having your wall up and defending yourself. And then that goes into step 5, which is really like listening to your intuition. So much of this journey is starting to trust your intuition, because it may have been squashed for so many years, because people are telling you should do this, you should do that. And your body's screaming, you know what? I need a break. I don't want to work 40 hours a week, or I need to take a break with these treatments because I'm just so overwhelmed. Like, it's your intuition is going to tell you and guide you if you get still, you quiet down and you listen. Like, there's a spidey sense within you that's like, hey, listen, I'm here. So it's having that confidence to step into that intuition.
I love that. And is this are these things that we can do on our own, working on our inner selves and, tapping into our subconscious mind? Or is this something where we do need to do some counseling, some hypnotherapy, bring in, an expert as well as working on ourselves?
You can definitely do this all on your own. And yes, there's a place for a coach, a therapist as well, if you need more guidance or there's some really heavy traumas in your life. But there is, you can definitely start it on your own. And it's simple as a few tools. If you have a journal, if you're really upset, you're super emotional right now, just grab the journal and start writing. I'm upset because, I'm mad because. You just keep scribbling on that page. You might find that it looks like a toddler scribbled on the page. It's not like a dear diary, I feel sad today because. It's I'm mad, I'm angry. You might rip through the pages. You might just want to throw it out when you're done, but journaling out your feelings, it's it takes that energy that I said is in your body. And actually it's so powerful to put it on paper. So it's not the traditional diary entry at all. Another thing is just going for walks in nature, connecting and just starting to clear your mind. Talking to someone is really helpful too. If it's solution based, it's not, yes, you can vent, but you're not complaining and needing their validation. You really just want to talk and you know what you need. You don't necessarily need them to tell you what to do. Meditation is super powerful. And if you've never meditated or you're someone who says, I can't meditate, my mind's too busy, my hand is in the air, I was you. And meditation is the most powerful thing ever because you can just connect and go inward. Some people describe it as this incredible buzz. It's not that they're on drugs, but it almost feels, it's this incredible lightness to your body where you're just I can take on anything. It's you're bigger than you actually are. It's a beautiful feeling when you can get into that meditative state. And then those are just a few of the tools, just getting still, taking breaths, even if it's for 5 minutes. But those are basic things that you can do to calm and regulate your nervous system in the moment and start to get curious. Why am I feeling this way? So those are some very simple things that you could do at home.
I love that. I love that. And is this something that we need to include our partner in? So because earlier you were saying how maybe that's their inner child. So should they also be doing this work?
You know what? If your partner isn't into this, and that's the women I bring on, I have the method where you can save your marriage even if your partner isn't willing to go to counseling or isn't invested. It really is remember one of my first steps there was you can't fix them. Step 2 is do the inner work and take your control back. You have control over your life. So no, you don't need them to do the work because you're going to start to see them from a lens of, oh, that's their scarcity mindset. Oh, they're feeling judged. Oh, they aren't good with criticism because they would shut down when their parents used to tell them to drink all their milk. But what happens is your partner doesn't need to do the work. You need to do it. And then you start to see your partner in a different lens. And remember, I talked about that backpack of all those limiting beliefs that you take off. When you take that off, your partner will then sense through conversations, because you're saying things I understand, how can I help? They start to see that you are a safe place. You're not criticizing, you're not nagging, you're not judging them. And what happens is these beautiful conversations start to open up and it's organic. And that's kind of what happened in my marriage is all of a sudden I wasn't judging him anymore. And he sensed that I was safer and he could come to me and we could have deeper conversations because I was open to it and I was holding space for him. So no, your partner doesn't have to do the work. But obviously they will, they will come up with you. We all vibrate at a certain frequency. I always say, it's going to the party. You walk into the party and it's woo, this is fun. Or you go to the funeral and oh, this is heavy stuff. You become the party and they start to up level with you. That's typically what happens because they attract. It's law of attraction, law of vibration.
I love that. I love that. And I noticed that too with my couples where, if the male partner is not into the healthy nutrition and the supplements and the lifestyle pieces, but once the wife starts doing it or the woman partner, then he sees that and he wants that vibration, that energy, what she has. So I completely agree there. I love it. Well, Beth, we do have to close out. It's been so fun having you here. Thank you so much. But we would love to hear, where can we find you? Where can we learn more about working with you?
Oh, a couple of spaces. So if you would like a guide, I have a free guide called freemarriageguide.com where I give 3 strategies to get your marriage back on track. So you can go to www.freemarriageguide.com. Or another tool, and we were talking about those tools that you can use. I have something called Hypno-Journeying, and Hypno-Journeying is my take on hypnosis. So I get women deeply relaxed using a hypnosis tool, and then I take you on a guided meditation, which some people refer to it as meditation on steroids because you're so relaxed. And that's where we do a lot of that subconscious work where you'll hop around at different times of your life to kind of clean up some of those areas where you don't feel lovable, don't feel good enough, can't trust. And you can download one of those for free. on my website. So soulifywellness.com, and I can give you those links if you want to put them in the show notes. But you can download the True You Hypno Journey, which will allow you to connect with that authentic you and allow you to go back to times when you didn't feel authentic and do some healing with her. So yeah, you can check out those or all my social media platforms, which is Soulify Wellness. So Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn, all those places.
I love it. I love it. And yes, we will definitely have all that in the show notes, make it really easy to find you, get your freebies. So thank you so much for that. And again, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. And before we close, any final thoughts, anything you want to say to our audience, maybe a piece of advice you want to leave?
My biggest advice is really that step 5 that I talked about earlier, which is listening to your intuition. She's in there. Sometimes she's buried really deep, but it's so important to connect with your intuition because that's really like your compass in life. Your intuition, she'll guide you exactly where you need to go. And she's always there. Like your answers are always within you. I truly believe we have the ability to heal ourselves. And it's kind of like, we know where we are right now. Maybe we're not happy. We're really struggling. We know our authentic self. So it's like, we have something on the far left, something on the far right where we want to be. And there's all this kind of muck in the middle, this like stuff that's creating some lost feelings, being confused. And we just got to clear that stuff up. And whether that's little mini traumas, things from our past, beliefs about ourselves. But once we clear that out of the way through the inner work, we can clearly get to the path, down the path where we want to go to our higher self. And your intuition will guide you there. And a lot of times your intuition is like, I need you to step into this fear. And it's scary, it's terrifying, but that's what's going to create that inner growth to get you to connect to that version of you that is happy, joyful, peaceful, calm, not exhausted.
Amazing. I love it. Well, thank you again for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
And thank you, ladies, for listening to the Hormone P.U.Z.Z.L.E Podcast. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye. Hey, hang on one second. Before you go, I want to make sure that you're aware of some amazing free resources that I have for you on my website at CoachKayla.com. From a new and improved fertility meal plan, a cycle optimizing quick start guide, a pregnancy meal plan, as well as masterclasses, blog posts by me and some of my amazing expert friends in the field of fertility, hormones, nutrition, and more. So many wonderful resources that will help you on your journey. And I wish that there had been something like this when I was going through my fertility. That was for 2 years. And there just wasn't. That's why I decided to create all of these amazing resources for you. So make sure that you check them out and take advantage of this level of support that I have provided. And spoiler alert, these are the same tricks and the same foods that I used to get myself pregnant, not once, but twice, even after my doctor said that I couldn't without IVF. So I know these things work. So I want you to take advantage of them. And I can't wait for you to be my next success story. Thank you, love, and I will see you soon. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Hormone P.U.Z.Z.L.E Podcast. I want you to check out the show notes at CoachKayla.com. And if you like what you hear, please subscribe and leave a review. Thanks for hanging out with me.